Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today I want to talk to you all a little bit about the state of Warlock. I guess look at the state of Warlock and things in Warcraft logs after the buffs that hit Affliction and Destruction, I guess this week in Emirdrasil. Now, this has been basically pretty much a permanent demonology tier, maybe a little bit of Af and Destro playing Council of Dreams, even though Demo was played, I think, by THC in the World First race, just because, I mean, that's a mechanics fight. But Af and Destro were buffed by 6%, which gave them a bit of a bump in their damage, but I want to see where they're performing in logs tonight. I think it's more than just a damage issue. I think it's a bit of a toolkit issue, and also this tier being just a solid demo tier in general, based on how the fights are designed. So tonight, want to look at all of that, and yeah, let's just get on into it. All right, so I want to start off here briefly looking over Heroic for those who don't raid Mythic, and then hop into Mythic and look at the builds that are being played there, talk about the bosses, and break down why Af and Destro are still just subpar compared to, well, Demonology. Now, when it comes to Heroic, for all class filters, it's a sea of rogues and hunters, unsurprisingly. They're overtuned, you know, and they're not working with, you know, augmentation hooks and all that. Not the big deal. But when it comes to Gnarl Root, I mean, honestly, most of these fights here, when it comes to Heroic, are basically Destro fights. We've seen, Demo fights. We've seen a little bit of Destro popping up on Volcaros, which I actually played during raid testing, and it didn't seem that bad. Now, they did get a power infusion here, and, I mean, looking over a couple other fights here, I mean, Destro obviously being a very large spec on Council of Dreams. A few PIs coming into that spec. Click the wrong button. That's okay. A few PIs coming in, 2 in a Blessing of Autumn. 2 PIs here. And going from there. Now, when it comes to AF, honestly, I've seen a couple of demo parses here, but I haven't really seen much AF on Heroic Council. The highest parse being here, rocking a relatively interesting build. AC playing full Dark Harvest, Dread Touch with ID. Now, I played this build during raid testing and found that ID stacked very quickly, but at the same time, a bit of a headache to play with because of the mobs jumping around so much. It was hard to get like solid Soul Rot cleave, but with the half-minute profile you have with your 2-piece, 4-piece, Dark Harvest, and these stacks occurring so fast, it might just end up being the play regardless if you're looking to play AF on Heroic and all that, but it is a sea of Destro, unsurprisingly. The top build ends up playing Havoc here. I've seen a mix of Havoc and Mayhem, honestly. If you scroll over here, a good mix of both, at least on Mythic. Top build here, or parts here being Havoc and a bunch of Mayhem mix, you know, in between here and there. Personally, when it comes to Heroic, for me, this fight, I just want to play single target Destro and have Mayhem proc and just, you know, cleave if it happens, but either way, that's the only real fight that I see a lot of like non-demo parses on. Laradar demo, Naimyu, a couple Destro parses to be fair, depending on ag cleave and things. Very fast kill time, very good kill time for Destro as well, being 238. Second Infernal comes down. I believe they're playing Grand Warlocks here. I think I saw they are, yeah. Second Infernal comes down, you launch a million Chaos Bolts that are buffed by Crashing Chaos, and the fight ends there and here, both very good kill times. Smolderon, Destro, Tindral, Destro, and Fireack, Demo, and unsurprisingly, Demo for Fireack as well. Now, shifting gears to Mythic here, this is where it gets a little interesting. So, looking at the overall parses here, in like the top of Heroic All-Stars, Destro, a little bit few Destro parses, or I guess players, a lot of Demo. Mythic is all Demo. Now, there's a bit of variance when it comes to builds being played here, depending on the fight structure, right? Now, when it comes to Gnarl Root, a lot of builds here are playing Sack Souls. Now, I've seen some builds playing, a good bit of builds playing 2 points. I've seen some playing 1 point in Sack Souls, pulling this point and putting it in Felsunder for a bit more overall AoE cleave. Gnarl Root, the kind of fight where it is single target based, a good portion of the fight. When there are adds, there are a lot of adds. So you want that cleave-based profile. I mean, you want to have that, obviously, Implosion. You want to have that Felsunder cleave, or sorry, Felstorm cleave, Demonic Strength cleave. Implosion, double Imp Gang Boss, or Imp Mother giving you that just general cleave profile, right? More imps that can spawn passively, but still maintaining the single target elements, still maintaining Naked Tyrant build, still maintaining Sack Souls, Spiteful Recon being good in single target as well as AoE, but you have sort of the best of both worlds, right? When the ads aren't out, you have more imps out, you're not imploding, so Sack Souls value is there. Also in the burn phase, past the intermission, when the boss is by himself, you can just burn the boss, there are no ads out. So you get value in single target, as well as some value in AoE. Now, if you look a bit further down here, there is some like non-Sack Souls builds here. They're just playing, I believe, more cleave. Yeah, there's a point in Felsunder here. None in Sack Souls, 1 in Sunder, 1 in Imp Gang Boss. More cleave-based elements. I think from a prog-based perspective, these Sack Souls builds are certainly better. I wouldn't be surprised long-term to see like the non-Sack Souls builds rise up more, just for like more meme, pad, and cleave over the course of the tier in farm. But regardless, the Sack Souls build, the hybrid build, I think is a little better in this fight. A hybrid single target cleave build playing Sack Souls. Now, when it comes to Igira, there's also a mix of things going on here. So these two builds here, They are not playing Saxels. You are playing Implosion for a bit of that cleave. You're playing a point over here in Felsunder, playing Imperator, 1 point in Imp Gang Boss here. I've seen this point actually be thrown here in Saxels as well, which I think is probably a little better. But you had that spear cleave on Aegura, right? You have the cleave that spawn every so often, which you can implode the boss and cleave the side adds. And when you're able to do that, it gets you a lot more implosion value, Imp Gang Boss value, if that's what you want. And both builds are seeing a bit of play here. I mean, some Sack Souls value mixed in here, no Sack Souls, more Sack Souls, and a mix of everything else here. Fight duration, also pretty fast in this one, 514. Pretty decent kill time for Demo, Tyranting about 420-ish, give or take. But that element of the cleave profiler, right? Having the Implosion cleave, having the Fellstorm cleave, having that stacked Dreadlash cleave, all of that still exists and is still solid in a fight, like Aegura with that spear cleave every so often. Now, when it comes to Volcaros, this is going to be also just a sea of demonology here. But Volcaros is a pure single target build for demonology, unsurprisingly. Double Sack Souls, no Implosion, playing Sunder, all this stuff here. The stereotypical single target build, right? It's no variance here in any of this. It's all the same across the board. Hatred, no Grand Warlocks, no Reign of Tyranny, just sort of undertuned. Naked Tyrant does indeed reign supreme. This kill time here being pretty unfortunate. We're getting into that kill range on Volcaros where you might not get that third Tyrant value, right? Because you're Tyranting that third one at about, honestly, at about 410-ish, give or take. But in a faster kill scenario, it might be that Tyrant on pull, Tyrant at 2, and Tyrant at around 340, 330-ish with just dogs in it, and throw your Grimoire at the end of the fight because it's ending too early, right? To a similar extent, hit on it in the last video, but the Beloros usage, right? If you Beloros on pull, you get that 0-2-4 sequencing if the fight goes long enough. He did pop Beloros on pull, Solar Maelstrom, but unfortunately the fight died so fast where he got a use on basically at 0, a use at 2, but not a third use because that would mean the fight needed to be 402. It died before the 4-minute mark. So a lot of variance in Beloros use, or I guess, variance depending on kill times being pretty close to that era, or I guess that time frame. But either way, unsurprisingly, Volcaros being a lot of demo. I did see a Destro Parsetune mixed in here as well. Yeah, right about here with a 414 kill time. Keep in mind, this is also Mythic Volcaros, a relatively, I guess, average kill time, but nonetheless, playing that 2-minute Infernal build, 0, 2, and 4, getting that third Infernal with Crashing Chaos down at the end, launching a bunch of bolts. Not bad. Rift does give you a lot of movement in this fight too. With the procs you get so often, it actually isn't that bad. JTP also putting up parse here with playing just, Nora Root, which is wild. But 2-minute Infernal build here, getting 3 PIs. To a similar extent here, we got 2 PIs. But, Demo putting up better results without any PI being thrown in here. So, if you're looking for Affliction, the highest parse, I don't even know what it is. Destro is 207. Demo's 217. Affliction is a solid 197. So, yeah. And to be fair, this also is, post-nerf and all that. Dates here are relatively important, but, yeah. So, moving on from there. So, Council of Dreams, where things get a bit interesting, right? Council is that, the one, I guess, council-based cleave fight this tier, where you can play Destro, you can play AF. I've even seen Demo on here putting up okay parses, because this fight is more or less a mechanics check. You do mechanics, the boss dies, that's basically it. A handful of Destro players here getting some PIs coming in, maybe some Summers in certain spots as well. Jumping into it, a lot of Destro stuff. A good mix of Havoc and Mayhem. I've seen this vary a bunch over the past few days. I've seen Havoc on top, but Mayhem pretty close. Mayhem being more RNG based. Think back to Karag Grim Totem, right? Where if Mayhem procced a bunch, you had an exceptionally high rolling Havoc uptime, which led to a lot of damage, right? Maintaining that big damage buff for a good portion of the fight. Trying to find his Mayhem usage here, right? So Mayhem was up 38% of the time, roughly, give or take. A big chain here at the start, and if we can find it rolling Havoc, if it works, maybe, there we go, yeah. Actually a bit awkward here. What you're looking for with rolling Havoc is like this. These chains here, where you can hit 5 stacks, then chain for, 20-ish seconds, give or take. But they had a lot of 5 stacks here, sort of rolled for, I guess, about 15 seconds here. Same when it comes to here. In your opener with Lust and everything, Mayhem can have those high rolls where you roll the RNG of chaining, rolling Havoc for half a minute or even like 40-ish seconds. Then the low rolls where you roll this or you roll this for the duration of the fight. So Havoc brings that more consistent profile, but at the same time, if you want to high roll things or play on the side of RNG, Mayhem is fine. I play Mayhem in this fight. It's annoying with jumping ads. I play Destro single target. but maintaining 3 ML8s and just hopefully it cleaves. That's basically it. If you look at it from that perspective, playing Mayhem, right? Now, a couple of AF parts here as well. So this AF build's interesting. This AF build is playing ID with Soul Rot, Dark Harvest, and Dread Touch. I played this build during raid testing, AC as well, which is very cool to see. I played this build during raid testing and thought it was sort of awkward when it came to the ads or the bosses jumping around so much. I couldn't get that solid triple cleave with Soul Rot, but with 3 targets being present, your tier bonus giving you duration extensions on dots and things, your agonies last a good while, and you do accrue a lot of ID stacks quickly, even if you're dumping into 1 or 2 targets. Probably 2 plus with that Soul Rot every half a minute. But regardless, cool to see a build playing AC. I think the first fight this expansion where we played Absolute Corruption due to how Siphon Life works with Rapture. Very cool to see. I opted later on in testing for a build that had like Haunted Soul in it. We were playing, I believe, just Haunted Soul, no Dread Touch. I think it was Soul Rot row, Haunted Soul row, Dark Lair, and like maybe a point up here in Creeping Death. But regardless, this build, I mean, if I was doing duck duty in this fight, I just play this build. Play AC, play Haunted Soul, and just sort of, hopefully things die, right? This build here also playing, the ID cleave build, but cool to see nonetheless after a little bit of time to light. The highest demo parts here being Robin sitting right here. No PIs, about a 6-minute kill roughly, give or take. Playing this build right here. Sort of interesting build, guillotine and all that. I mean, there is a decent bit of stat cleave in this fight. Could be worthwhile. If you're trying to, I guess, try hard the fight, depending how you want to word it. Honestly, destro AF are like the better options. But this fight, I think, I mean, it is a mechanics check. You keep the area clear, do the mechanics, and the bosses, die with relative ease. So if you're looking to just do mechanics, you're assigned to be a duck, any spec is fine here. But honestly, this fight was more of a destro AF fight previously. In post buffs, it's even more of a destro and AF fight, depending on how you want to look at it. Now, when it comes to Laridar, I think it's a very good example of what a demo fight is. There was some destro parses a few days ago, I think, as well in this fight somewhere, maybe here. Falling a good bit, but I mean, still cool to see. Decent-ish kill time for 2-minute Infernal. This is a good kill time, roughly. It's 6:34. Not playing Rain of Fire or anything, just playing Conflagration and Chaos. Normal, single target esque build for destruction. But this is a good demo fight. It's single target, stat cleave, add spawn. You rip him in, kill him, meat grinder him down. This build also playing 2 points in Sack Souls here, right? Sack Souls, but getting the Implosion cleave, getting the Strength cleave, obviously, but not playing Imp Big Boss and not playing Sunder. Opting to put those 2 points in Sack Souls because the ads aren't there the entire time. They spawn every minute or so. Besides that, it's a good bit of patchwork damage in the boss, right? So there is a bit of variance in builds here too. Most are playing Sack Souls. A couple aren't here. I guess one here, and I guess this one is something else changed up here. But for the most part, this is another good example. Actually, Grand Warlock's design here being played, which is very cool. Not a good kill time for it though, but very cool to see regardless. Also, just another good example of like fights where you can get the best of both worlds with that Sack Souls profile, but also incorporating those cleave elements with your 2-piece, 4-piece, with Implosion, with just the elements of destro or that demo brings in general, with its I guess new and improved Naked Tyrant cleave profile, right? Now, moving on from there, Naimu, I've seen a mix of destro and demo in this fight. I think it's more demo, I mean, it is more demo based now. I had assumed that Affliction would be better here, looking at PTR testing, but I mean, when demo got its buffs towards the end of PTR to its 2-set and 4-piece, whatever they buffed, it was already a good option. It was the best option in single target, and it is still, unsurprisingly, our best option here. Most builds opt to just play the single target build. I saw a few cleave builds early on, but not really sure why. There's not really much cleave in this fight at all. You can't tank the ads together, so this build playing Fel and Steel here, not really sure as to why. But most builds just playing the single target build. You can't move the ads close, so they basically kill you, and it's just pretty much a single target swapping scenario when the boss goes into her continuum intermission cast, right? Not much to say here. You kill the boss, kill the ads, and you win. And when it comes to Smolderon, unsurprisingly, also a lot of demonology here. But I will say, I'm waiting for someone to kill this boss's Affliction. I think Affliction, I could be going out on a limb here and just not be, I could be wrong here. But I think Affliction in this fight is actually possibly maybe pretty decent because you've got that half-minute Soul Rot profile with a 6% buff on top of it, right? But that half-minute Soul Rot profile giving you cooldowns in the first phase and every single intermission, collecting your orbs. But the downside is, unfortunately, I mean, like, you have to cast, 6 Raptures, 7 Raptures, maintain 10 dots, juggling 5 plates, brain surgery in space with Dread Touch, while dodging, Whirling Flames cast and Soaking Orbs. So if you can leverage Af in this fight to the point where you can like get it down, it might actually be really, really good on Smolderon with the damage amps and all that, and the consistent actual damage windows you get with your Soul Rot tier bonus. But besides that, it's a demo world. There's no chance I'm going to play Destro in this fight, a Mythic with the movement and everything that happens with it. And you're just playing the, pure single target build for the most part. So besides that, no Tendril or Fire Rat kills yet. Tendril's Demonology if you're killing roots, which most everybody is, unless they nerf the boss a crazy amount. You play the full Guillotine, Meat Grinder build and all that stuff, right? Fire Rat could also be a decent AF fight, I think, depending on if they nerf the boss, where it goes. You can get good at Cleave in phase 2. Some soul swap targets and the Infernals, all that kind of stuff. But depending where it all goes, I could see AF sneaking in maybe a bit more over the course of this tier, sort of how like Sarkareth was and Razageth was. If it gets more buffs, even just in general, I think it's a good profile on the fight, but you probably won't see it for a little while until guilds are farming for Iraq, which, I mean, it's probably going to be a good bit from now, unless they end up nerfing the bosses, because I would assume, currently for my guild, Tendril is 500 plus pulls, and this boss is a good bit as well. But hopefully in a few days, some nerfs will be announced to the bosses. The race war first is over, and it'll be a little easier. But, I mean, TLDR, unfortunately, Warlock, while we're zooming out here, let me know. Warlock really didn't get, I guess, Af and Destro really didn't gain a whole lot of ground. Demonology has a firm grip on pretty much everything this tier, barring Council Fight, which is just mechanics check. A lot of it's based on the damage profile. Destro and Af sort of lacking when it comes to a lot of fights, profile-wise. Demonology, good stat cleave, decent single target. Tier bonus is solid, and you're also a literal tank, playing crit versus everything. So we'll see where it goes. I think a lot of Af and Destro's issues are just more, talent-based, like things not lining up properly. Your tier bonus being a bit awkward for Destro. Af just being, I don't know, okay in certain settings, but we'll see what the future holds. Maybe some more changes hit before Season 4, and if not, well, hopefully you are a demo enjoyer, like myself at times. So thanks for watching, guys. Wraps it up. Hopefully, for those that were curious about, like, I guess, Af and Destro's performance this week, post-buffs and all that stuff, it clarified that nothing really changed for the most part. On Council of Dreams, Af and Destro are better than they were. They're already pretty decent, but besides that, in most of the relevant prog-based fights, it's still demo world. I enjoy playing demo, a decent bit, but I also sort of want there to be a tier where I'm not playing demo on basically every fight, and Af and Destro, the two much more iconic specs for Warlock, actually see a bit of play. It's been a while, and yeah, so we'll see where it goes. Chances are high I'll make a video probably the next week or so talking about like just the general flaws of Af and Destro, and even demo in a sense, just Warlock in general. I think we're pretty much on track for probably a complete overhaul heading into probably 11.0, maybe S4. I'm hoping 11.0 because there's a lot of issues with Warlock. They made some good changes this year, I think, legitimately. This is probably the best version of Malefic Rapture AF we've seen, probably in the history of the game for the most part, but still, it's a little clunky in certain spots. And some good changes to demo, but also some awkward ones, which has made, your cooldowns for demo and basically every spec feel pretty unimpactful. But we'll see where it goes. So anyway, you can order add-ons on the video. Links to Twitch and Discord down below are all free for you guys if you want them. To a similar extent, I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons for in the video. For all support on Patreon, guys, thank you a million times. I really appreciate it. It allows me to keep doing what I'm doing for you guys and making content. And yeah, I just really appreciate support. Thank you so much. If you guys are interested in supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here as well as down below in the video description. So they did not announce more Warlock tuning for, I guess, Tuesday and a couple of days from now. I'm a little surprised, but at the same time, like I said, I think a lot of Warlock issues sort of just lie in talent configurations, the tier bonuses, talent configurations, just like the specs general interaction with how fights have been for the past few tiers. It's been even if demo wasn't as good as it is now, you'd still, I mean, it's hard to put into words, but you'd still play demo on certain fights this tier, right? A lot of fights this tier, stat cleave based fights, patchwork fights, those are demo fights. Af and Destro are the more spread havoc cleave based fights, the council based fights. They can do good single target, but I mean, demo's been better the past few tiers in single target, and well, Amir still looks to be following suit with all that. So we'll see where it goes, but fingers crossed for some changes soonish. So all that being said, thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, hit the like and sub buttons below. It helps out a ton, and I'll catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.